Hello, my name is Maysaa Almumin. I'm the director of Cafard, also known as Bint Wardan in Arabic. It is a film about a woman who inadvertently befriends a dying cockroach at a time that she feels at her lowest. Um, she works in a corporate office and finds it very difficult to relate to her environment and the wonderful, chirpy, happy people around her. And the friendship with the cockroach becomes a sort of saving grace for her. Yes, so the way the film came about was a semi-autobiographical situation where I it's based on a true story that I experienced. I was working in a corporate office and I felt very unfulfilled, and I used to spend a lot of time hiding away in the office toilets, where I found a dying cockroach that was lying on its back, um, and as something that's quite gross, I felt that what I should be doing is getting rid of it. But I felt a kind of empathy to this dying cockroach because I was kind of feeling very low in my life at that time. And the interesting thing, it started to remind me of one of the very first French phrases I learned when I was very young in my French classes, which is "J'ai le cafard." It's a very old, as I understand, it's a very old French expression coined by Charles Baudelaire, and "J'ai le cafard" means I have the cockroach. And as I was looking at this cockroach, it kind of that expression started to make sense to me, because there's a kind of self-loathing that comes to the state of being depressed, and that's kind of like the empathy that I felt for the cockroach. It's like, it's a disgusting thing, and I kind of felt that I didn't like myself that much, and so I kind of related to this cockroach and to this expression. So many years later, when I was reflecting on that moment, I decided that I really wanted to write about that moment, where, because that kind of mental anxiety, it has many faces, and many unexpected phases, or it's kind of hidden in plain sight. So I wanted to write a book about a woman that, on the facade of things, there's perhaps nothing much wrong, but there's this inexplicable um, uh, there's this inexplicable state of being when depression takes over you. So I felt that I came to a point where I was wise enough to recognize it. And so this film is about the story of a woman who comes to that point where she finally recognizes what she is going through.
حلو 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 قوي شغلك على بروميدي ريبورت. بس بعت لك ميل برضو كده فيه شويه كومنت.
جبت لكم حاجه خطيره النهارده.
اوه دول جامدين قوي دول.
ايوه صح، ده بجد احلى حاجه في الدنيا. خد كافيه. خد كافيه.
بوظي برضو الرجيم مش ممكن.
So it took quite a while. I would say I started writing the script around 2017, but I was really taking my time with it. So I'm very new to filmmaking relative to my peers. So I'm an architect by training, and a professor of art and design by profession, with a focus in filmmaking and design and film, strong interest in design and film that started relatively late. I would say I'm close to 50 right now, and I would say it was about 6 years ago that it's funny, I kind of call it a creative midlife crisis. So I came to a point where it's like I'm trying to grab opportunities before they slip away, and And I realized that I've always had a very passionate love for film. And while I was studying architecture, I used to kind of, watching many films was kind of like, I thought it was procrastinating, but we were always encouraged to look at film and design and film because there's this relationship, between architecture and film. Film provides a platform where someone can explore architectural and design interests, on a platform that's kind of a little bit more immediate than doing architecture. So what I'm trying to say is that it took me a long time to learn the trade through various means, through being on as many sets as I could. So I started around maybe 6 years ago, acting for films, going on sets, taking workshops, and learning how to write scripts properly, trying to gather. I have a friend called Oscar Boyce, and he's a New York-based director, and he has a phrase. It's like, find your tribe. So it took me a long time to find the tribe, to find the people that I want to work with. So with every set that I was working on, I was really kind of trying to understand filmmaking in itself as logistics, and also to trying to find the people and form the connections of the people that I felt were like-minded with me and kind of can agree to work on a script that's a little bit unusual, and to have faith in the script. Because, when I go around to people and say, I want to make a film with a giant cockroach in it, and there's this woman and it has this friendship with this giant cockroach, and no, I don't want CGI. I want to make it as a puppet. And I made, as an artist and designer, I made the puppet myself. So, simply because I knew aesthetically, being a designer myself, I knew it's exactly aesthetically how I wanted to portray this film and communicate these ideas. And it wasn't about, flashy CGI. Not that I'm saying that I'm against CGI. It has the framework of films that it needs to be in. But in my kind of film, I needed to kind of connect a little bit with the reality and absurdity. So there was like a fine line between being absurd and real, because, some people used to ask me like, the cockroach real? And I'm like, in her head, for this woman, this cockroach is extremely real. Even though it may not seem real to anyone else. So there was a long process for me to kind of figure out how I wanted to do this film, who I wanted to work with, to learn the trade itself. So though I started writing the script in 2017, it took until 2019 to shoot it. So, and I think also I have, I find the fact that I learned filmmaking so late a little bit of an advantage, because I think that, not naive, because I learned as much as I could, and I was very thorough in what I wanted to understand about filmmaking. But I think I became, at this age, I'm a little bit fearless. So it's like, what's the worst can happen? It's like, it's not so I've gone kind of like a complete, very steep learning curve into learning how to make film. So I've made a couple of tiny short films before then, but it was like, I don't know, a crew of 3, barely any funding, and just, trying to learn how stuff happens. But this was my very first, what I say, proper film, where I got grants and I got a big film crew, and, I shot it in Cairo, because that's, there's an incredible, even though I'm from Kuwait, I travel to Cairo quite a bit, and there's an incredible environment for filmmaking. It's one of the oldest filmmaking industries in the Arab region, and that's where I did a lot of my connections with people in the industry. So it kind of made sense to shoot it there. And it's been quite a trajectory for me. And I got to say, I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. So I'm lucky enough to be in a profession as an art and design professor in an American university, where I can get the support not only from the institute that I work in, because they, so I live in Qatar, and there's a big kind of push for filmmaking in the country, and also in the institute that, the university institute that I work in, and a lot of interested students. So I tend to involve them in kind of like, especially when it comes to the art and design part. So I had a couple of students, shout out to Sharifa and Amira, and Andia and Hanouf, who joined me in making giant cockroach puppets, that we wrapped up and shipped to Cairo. And making sure that I worked with a really passionate team that believed in the film along with me. So I have them to thank. And then also to try to find actors that are willing to, I don't know, work with insects and, work with puppets. It's been, kind of technically a little bit challenging because of that. Cockroaches don't always behave the way that you want them to. And, and the same with puppets. It took like 2-3 people to kind of operate it through strings and moving it along and things like that. So I consider myself, like, with this project, so incredibly lucky to have such a passionate, cast and crew to work with. So there were so many interesting and funny moments about making the film, because Inas Al-Fallal, amazing actress. I say, at the time of the call out for the cast, I had been sent in a reel for Inas Al-Fallal along with Sidqi Sakhr and Sandy Sawiris. The cast were absolutely amazing. So I couldn't have asked for a more perfect cast. And in particular, Inas Al-Fallal, who had just won an award by Madeira Film Festival for being best actress. And I'm really proud of that, because when I got sent her reel, I already knew. So the reel she sent in had all the particular, kind of nuanced performances that I was looking for, because the actress doesn't, the character that I wrote the part for doesn't speak in the whole film. So I really needed an actress that has the capability to portray all the different kind of subtle nuances of the script. But so when she sat down in the audition, I told her that that I wasn't going to take her through all the usual things that I take actors through, which is exercises and little improvisations, because I already knew that I wanted her to play the part. But then I asked her how she felt about working with animals. And she said, "Oh, I like animals." And I was like, "Well, how about insects?" And she gasped and she's like, "Oh my God, I have a phobia." And I was like, "Cockroaches?" And she's like, "No, a huge phobia of cockroaches." And so I begged and pleaded with her. I said, "Listen, the role is yours. I'm prepared to do anything for you to accept this. I will give you hugs between takes. I will give you all the time you need between takes, but just, say that you would do this for me." And she did. She was an absolute champ in on set. And she was the one that when she felt, I thought, because I was saying that, "Okay, would you mind taking one more take?" She's like, we'll do it. And even though she was really mortified and so scared, acting with the cockroaches. So I really thank her for being so brave and taking that on. And again, with the cockroaches, because we had a cockroach handler. So he was the person that was responsible for bringing in the cockroaches, handling them. And I told him that he has to be as humane as possible, gather them up, because I have lots of people on the cast of crew that don't like, are scared or don't like cockroaches. Oh, poor little cockroaches. I don't have a fear of cockroaches, but they do. So when when the cockroach handler came in, he had them in a bag, and everybody was like whispering, the cockroach handler is coming in. And it was like the Red Sea parting. He came into the apartment, and all the cast, the crew was like going up against the wall, and half my crew disappeared at the same time. And but I completely understood that I can't keep everyone there against their will. So we had kind of, at that time when the cockroaches came in, it was just skeleton crew, whoever needed to be there, and that was it. So that the cockroaches were quite the stars or the divas of the film. To be in a competition among such amazing filmmakers is both exciting and overwhelming. This is, I wish that I could have been there in person in Paris, but due to unforeseen circumstances, I can't be there. But it really is a true validation and a complete honor to be part of this competition. And it's extremely encouraging. It instills a kind of faith in the work that I do, and really it becomes inspiring. It makes me want to I've been working on, I am working, and I have a couple of other films out in the film circuit, and I'm writing a feature film and another short film. And so for me to be included in competitions like this one is motivational. So I'm very, very much motivated to keep going. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the rest of the films as well. So really happy to be part of it.